see the path to the championship. I can see it.
The Coca-Cola 600 belongs to Ryan Blaney.
Blaney's learned how to win over the last couple of months.
Blaney! Harmon! They spin behind him! It's going to be Blaney!
We're going to win this thing.
Ryan Blaney is going to win his way into the championship for...
You have to run a perfect race to get it.
Ryan Blaney is a NASCAR Cup Series champion!
What an unbelievable year. What an unbelievable playoffs for us.
This is the Team Blaney Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2024 season, episode 24 of the Team Blaney Podcast. My name is Kate Mez, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. That's right, it's the first Team Mez takeover of 2024. As always, this podcast is brought to you by fans for fans. Collectively, we have been following the drivers of the Blaney racing family for 2 decades, and Team Blaney itself launched on social media in 2014. Each weekly episode of the podcast offers an in-depth analysis of Ryan Blaney's latest NASCAR Cup Series race, plus news, notes, and a lineup of special guests throughout the year. This week, we break down the number 12 team's run in the Great American Getaway 400 from Pocono Raceway.
The driver of the 12 looking for win number 12. It's going to be the second time he'll see the checkered flag here at Pocono. Ryan Blaney wins again in 2024.
Good job, Timmy. Good job, man. Hell yeah, boys. Let's go. Good job, driver. Good job, team. Proud of you guys.
That's right. We're short one person today. Adam couldn't make it today. He's a bit under the weather. Might be having something to do with celebrating.
Too much celebrations? That's okay. We understand.
We know we've been there. But it wasn't a good night to celebrate last night. So, a lot of tension. 20-some laps to the end.
Why? Did something exciting happen?
I kind of wonder. It's kind of funny. It seems awful familiar to a couple races in the last month or two, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, getting to the end of the race and just lap after lap after lap and really closing out the race. It was a lot of fun. And, we can recap it here in a second. If you're ready. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Adam's not here and we're getting away. We're kidding, Adam. All right, Saturday. Group A for Ryan. And right off the bat, runs about 7 laps there, and his individual lap time was like P8.
Yeah.
0.434 back of the 24. They come in, they do a couple adjustments. They go back out with about 8 minutes to go in practice, and all 3 Penske cars were in Group B or in Group A.
In Group A, yeah.
Yeah, and they were all in the top 8. Lap 9, he put himself 4.20 seconds back, which was a little faster, which is pretty good for making adjustments coming out on the same tires. Lap 10, he closed it to 0.35 back, picked P6 overall. So really good speed in practice. And they brought it in with about 3 minutes left to go. The 2 car was P2, the 22 was P5, and the 12 was P6 overall in Group A. The 5 car spun out to end Group A. In Group B, the 45 car decided he had to spin out, not to be outdone. The 19 and the 23 were the top of the board in Group B. Most of the Toyotas were in the second group. Group B, 6 cars had moved in between Ryan and the 24 car who led Group A. So some of the cars showed pretty good speed in the second group. Were the 19, the 23, the 34, the 54, the 77, and even the 1. With 5 minutes to go in the Group B, the 45 car went to P1 overall, and that was like a 53.498 second lap, so Ryan was 0.445 back of the 45 car at that point. So we get to Group A qualifying. Ryan went out 16th of the 18 cars. Said he was a little tight off of 1 on his lap, but he put himself in the top 5 there. It was the 48, the 24, the 11, the 12, and the 22. So good speed for Joey. That ranged anywhere from a 52.899 to 53.421. Group B's top 5 ended up being the 54, the 45, the 4, the 19, and the 71. And their group was between 53.157 and 53.502. So they go for the pole. Ryan goes out third overall, and he ends up P8 overall. And the 54 actually gets the pole, which was pretty impressive. 54 is dangerous if he could actually put a whole weekend together.
Yeah.
So we get to Sunday, and it actually rained a little bit beforehand.
Yeah.
I texted Adam that we were going to have competition caution, but they decided not to do that because the first stage was only 30 laps long to begin with, and there were stages of 30, 90. Second stage ends at 95, and then 160 overall. 7 sets of tires, a fuel run of 37 to 42 laps. Pit stall number 30, and as the race goes on, this ends up being really important. This pit stall's right at the start-finish line, just over.
Just over it, yeah.
Just over the start-finish
line. Just past it.
And he had an opening behind him, and the 42 car would be pitting in front of him all day. To the rear was the 7 and the 8 for unapproved adjustments. I noted that the network TV camera would be on the car all day because they were going to be embedded during stage 2. Tim gets on the horn at the beginning and basically introduces Mule to everyone else out there because Mule will be spotting turn 1 from the inside of the turn. The way Pocono is shaped, the long straightaway down to turn 1, and where the spotters stand, they really can't see. The cars kind of go away from them, and they can't see turn 1.
It's hard to see. I mean, we've both been there a few times. It is hard to see.
Yeah, so what they do is they put Mule down inside of the turn, and he can spot everything as it goes by him. And this is very important later in the race, too. The 54 starts the race in the high lane. And, of course, Ryan will be in that high lane also. Lap 1, it sorts out to P7. By lap 3, he decides to go down the bottom in turn 3 and gain some a little bit. Lap 5, over 1 second back to the 5 car, but they're closing in on the 48. At lap 9, the 48 actually lets Ryan go. And this was kind of interesting because you don't see it on TV, but he tells Tim to say thank you.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 laps before that, he was way faster than the 48. The 48 knew it, and the 48 decided to get out of the way at that point. Ryan says he needs a little bit more rear grip here for their first adjustment. At lap 13, they're about 1 second back of 5th place, which is the 45 car. And at lap 14, we get a yellow flag for the 10 car crashing in turn 1. Jonathan, here we go with the strategy. It starts right off the bat here. Jonathan says staying out. And from 10th on back behind them, go ahead and pit. But Ryan's P6 at this point. The 45 takes the top. Ryan from P6 takes the top on that outside row. They restart lap 17. We are now pushing the 11 car. And then there's mayhem as the 54 just kind of starts falling back. And what happened is he slid too high in turn 1. He got loose, and everybody started to get underneath him. The 19 takes the lead while this happens. Ryan ends up like in the middle of a 3 wide for a second or two, and then gets to P5 and chasing the 24 car. At lap 22, he passes the 24 in turn 1 to get to 4th. At lap 25, the 19, the 11, the 45, all the Toyotas, 1, 2, 3. Ryan is P4, running laps that are actually faster than those guys, starting to gain on them. At lap 26, passes the 45, gets to P3, and they decide to pit before the end of the stage. They're going to flip the stage, forget about the points, worry about winning the race, and they go ahead and pit. It's a lot of other cars follow them too. They have to get this pit stop in before the leaders come back around. But it's TV says it's a 10.2. Also, if I use the NASCAR app, it's 10.01, so it's almost a sub-10 stop. Lap 30, of course, the end of the stage. The 19 does, get there, and, Ryan ends up P29, and he kind of asks who has to pit now, because he wants to kind of cycle back up to the front a little bit. The 54, the 1, the 5, the 4, the 71, the 2 were all on Ryan's strategy. The top 6 stay out, haven't pitted yet. And but at lap 32, they go ahead and start pitting under the caution here. The 22 assumes the lead. Ryan's up to 17th for this restart. The 22 takes the top. Ryan takes the top behind the 38. And once again, I don't think TV showed this restart very good. From our perspective on the in-car camera, Brian kind of gets stacked behind a couple guys, and I think the 38 hits the wall, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
And kind of like loses momentum. A couple guys go by on the inside, and at the end of like the 36th, 37th lap, it sorts out to P25. So at lap 38, the 19 is pushing though, and we get pushed all the way up to 21st here, and the 6 is taking the lead. At lap 40, past the 1 up to 20th, and then also within that lap past the 21 and the 71 up to 18th. And lap 43, we passed the 51 to get to 17th. At lap 44, past the 7, get to 16th. At lap 45, passing the 24, get to 15th. At lap 47, passing the 8, gets to 14th. This is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on.
It was. Even though the TV started glitching at this point.
Yeah.
But...
lap 49, it passes the 99 to get to 13th. At lap 50, passes the 47, get to 12th. At lap 53, Ryan says we're pretty good through 1, need a little more in turn 3, and then we do get a caution for the 1 car. Something broke, and in turn 3, he slaps the wall and then crashes it in turn 1 also.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan says we're thinking orange here. To which Ryan says 10-4, and you know what's great is we had Tony Palmer on talking about these code words 2 years ago, and he makes them up, and sometimes they have to do with the sponsor, and sometimes they just are certain things, and we have no clue what they mean until we see them actually in action, and then a lot of times they only use them once. So orange, is the call, and. Tim's talking about the 42 car will be pitting around them, so they got to stop short. Jonathan says, go orange here and listen to me. So right away, that kind of tells us it's going to be some sort of fuel-type pit stop or a short pit stop. And
I like how when he calls it out, whatever it is, whatever race it is, you like to say you absolutely know what it is, and you have no clue.
No clue.
Oh, that means he's going to do fuel only. You don't... Okay, you go ahead. Get on with your bad self.
I like to think I know what's going on. But they actually do 2 tires and fuel. So it is a short pit stop here. It actually ends up being a 4.53 stop. We're going in 12th, come out P4 off of pit road. 3 cars stay out. So they end up P7 overall. The 54 is the leader at this point. He takes the top. Ryan takes the top from P7. We restart at lap 59, sorts out to 8th. Lap 60, passing the 48 up to 7th, passes the 2 up to 6th. The 4 car is the leader at this point. The lap 62, the 9 passes, so we're back to 7th here. But lap 65, we pass the 19, get to 6th. At lap 66, the 11 takes the lead. And at lap 70, the 54, the 9, the 24 are all right in front of Ryan. You can see them all pretty much in-car camera. We can see all of them, within a second or two of them. Lap 72, we pass the 24 to get to 5th. At lap 73, Jonathan says the 54 is getting close on fuel, and he does actually pit the next lap. So the lap 75, Ryan gets to 4th on that. He says we need a little tighter in 3. He's about 6 seconds back of the leader, who's the 11 car at this point. At lap 77, the 4 pits. Ryan gets to 3rd. At lap 80, 6.8 back of the leader, 2 seconds back of P2, which is the 9 car. At lap 86, Ryan says we need a little tighter in 1 and 3. Jonathan says 10-4, but we're one of the fastest cars on the track. Just got to get you track position is what he says here. And at lap 90, some cars behind him are pitting, and Jonathan says we're going to pit next time. 4 tires, waiting on fuel. And so this does make it a little bit longer stop at 12.50. The 11 stays out to win the stage, but once again we flip the stage, and we're going to stay out at the stage break at lap 95. So Ryan is, when it all shuffles out, is 27th. But most of them in front of him now need to pit, so John says staying out, and when they do, they go all the way up to P3. That's how many cars had to pit. Jonathan and Ryan discuss changes if they need to end up doing a 2-tire stop again, which is kind of interesting because it sounds like that's part of the strategy in the future. The 17 is P1, the 4 is P2, and then Ryan P3 here. So for the choose, the 17 takes the top. Ryan takes the top behind the 54 car. Restarting at lap 100. Racing with the 19 clears him in 3 all the way up to P2. At lap 110, we're 1.37 seconds back of the 17. At lap 111, the 4 pits. At lap 113, Timmy tells him we're the fastest car on the track that lap. At lap 115, we get a caution. In turn 1 for the 38. And Jonathan says this will be discount here. So this is another code word that means the same thing as orange, as we find out. So 2 tires and fuel. Once again, the 42 will be put in front of him. Jonathan says, we're a little short of the window, so save all you can here once they come off pit road. Now, they come off pit road, and the 24 was in front of Ryan somehow, and I yelled at the screen because I couldn't figure out how they did that on the same 2-tire stop, right?
Yeah.
Well, then the 24, the 9, the 99, the 54. Oh, I'm sorry, not 24. It was the 5 car. It was Larson was in front of him. So it was the 5, the 9, the 99, and the 54, all speeding in section 7.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I didn't write it in the notes at the time, but during the pre-race, they always come down pit road, and they check the speed. And every once in a while, especially like a track that has a bend on the pit road or something like that, they're kind of careful where they're running, what lane when they're coming around pit road and everything. Well, the only thing they talked about was segment 7.
Mm-hmm.
And in that point in time, I had no clue where segment 7 was. Now, listening to a podcast since then, post-race interviews with the crew chief since then, we find out segment 7 was where?
Right at their pit stall.
Right at their pit stall.
And it was smaller? It was a
smaller,
little bit smaller?
Smaller segment, but right in their pit stall, so they never had to worry about speeding in segment 7.
Because they were already going to be slowing down.
Slowing down and speeding up from that segment 7.
So, hey,
Pit stalls are chosen by the crew chief.
Hmm?
Yeah, I'm just saying. So for, Ryan moves up to P1 here and chooses the top here and restarting at lap 120. Now, I don't know if I said it in here, but Jonathan comes on at some point and says, saving fuel because we think we're 2 to 3 laps short to start this. It's one of those moves you kind of have to make because if you don't, somebody else will. And I think a lot of guys actually behind him had made the same move. Even the one that ended up in front of him speeding. And restart lap 120 with the 11 in the inside, the 48 pushing. And right away in turn 1, we get a caution for the 16, the 47, the 8, the 7, the 21, the 41. This is the 7 and the 8 incident.
Yeah.
Whose side are you on?
Okay. I want to blame them both. I want to say that they both deserve to be mad. I have past issues with both cars for different reasons. In this one instance, I think maybe Kyle's the one that is more to blame to start everything.
You think he forced the issue too many times?
He either forced it or maybe he just thought he had a little bit more room than he did. But, I mean, then again, the 7, they've been known to do stuff too. So, I don't know. I changed my mind like 14 times since we watched it. And I've watched it 30 times now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, what do you think? Come on. No, you can't ask me to make an opinion and then you just go, I don't know.
I was surprised how well Kyle Busch handled it with the interviews. You know, it was said that by NASCAR Chasm he had to go back into the care center because he bit his tongue so hard.
Yeah.
But I think that Corey made sure that he spun him. I think Corey spun him. Corey says that Kyle spun himself, but
I don't know. You touched him. It's not like you didn't touch him, man.
Yeah. I don't know how you can go down much further than Kyle was going either. And what was funny about this is this looked reminiscent of Kyle blocking Ryan when Ryan won. And I don't know if you remember that far back, but there was a restart late in the race, and Ryan actually passed Kyle for the lead, and that's where he had to do it. He had to do it down low going into one, and Kyle kept moving him down further and further, and he got around him. And during all that, I think Kevin Harvick actually passed Kyle Busch too. So it looked eerily familiar that was Kyle's move, is to try and force you all the way down till you give up. And
yeah, and I don't want to defend Kyle. He's a future Hall of Famer. He is a fantastic driver. But man, this year, it's that whole, if it wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. Like, I mean, I feel, you can feel it. Like, you can actually, like, taste the frustration. Like, I get it. It's gotta be hard. It's just like, what more can be thrown at me every single week? I get it. And I'm sure you were just like, you know what? Nope, not today. Which, I get it.
You know, I just saw.
I had to defend him.
I just saw before we started to record. I saw that Stacking Pennies doesn't even have Skip Flores. I really wanted to hear what Skip had to say to Corey on the podcast. Not today. He's not on this week. So they had somebody else who was going to host with Corey. I saw.
It shall remain a mystery.
Yeah, because somebody needs to hold Corey to the fire a little bit, and Skip probably would have done it, even though they're good friends. He probably would have said, "Hey, what happened there?" But
I don't know. Do you think this is we're gonna see this again? These two?
Not till we get to a short track. This next week coming up, it's way too fast for them to.
Right.
But yeah. Oh yeah.
We're gonna see it.
There'll be some aggressive moves. So for the next choose, we're coming to Ryan takes the top, the 11 below and the 48 behind again, and this works out really good. The restart lap 126, and we get a good push from the 48 here. And Jonathan says pretty happy with the fuel situation now. So do what you got to do. So this caution already put us in the fuel window where we're going to be okay on fuel. Get a good push by the 48, we get clear, and then we get a caution from something that happens behind them in turn one. The 34 kind of got into this little thing where they were up against the wall, and I don't think the 71, the 42 saw them, and it's kind of a weird one where they kind of all got into each other. Jonathan also says at this point now, running caution, you got caution laps. I think we're good for 2 green-white checkers now. Yeah. So they've went from 2 to 3 laps short to good on fuel. Don't worry about it. You know.
Oh yeah, I worried about it. And I'm still worried about it. Go ahead.
So for the choose here, we take the high. The 48 goes inside now, and we've got the 11 pushing. And this really worries me a little bit because the 11 will play games back there. And people, I don't know if people will recognize this. If you get a chance to go back and watch these last couple restarts, watch them, because behind the 11 is the 22 car. Mm-hmm. And the 22 car, I believe, helps make sure that Ryan wins this race, because the 22 car doesn't let the 11 car play any games. He pushes the 11 from row 3. They restart lap 131. The 11 pushes pretty good. Like I said, in-car camera it was hard to tell, but when you watch the TV footage from above, especially, the 22 car got into the 11 really good and made sure the 11 got going. He gets clear by the tunnel turn. Then we get a caution for the 54 who blew an engine on this restart.
Yep.
And like I said, 54 ever puts together a race, he's going to be.
Look out!
He's going to be dangerous. Mm-hmm. So lap 135 here. Tim says the pits are open. Jonathan, of course, says staying out. For this choose, Ryan's in the top with the 48 below him, and the 11 once again behind. But once again, the 22 is behind the 11, and the 22 gives up a row because he was 4th for the choose on both of these chooses. He could have went low and been below the 11. And he decided on both these chooses to make sure he was pushing from the 3rd row. Restart lap 138. Once again, clear by turn 2. The 48 and the 11 are kind of racing behind Ryan now. So Timmy says we're 8 spots up from the 48. Hit your marks at lap 140. The 48 gets loose in 2. And by lap 143 here, Jonathan says, Jonathan and Tim actually talk about what kind of info to give Ryan. They talk on the other channel and just say, hey, only some things that he needs to hear. They're 1.1 seconds up on the 48 at that point. And at lap 145, Tim says we're 1.2, about 0.3 better on him that lap. At lap 148, Tim says 1.4. And Tim tells him, in a lap or 2, 10 more. At lap 152, Tim says the 34 won't be in the way. And it was kind of weird because I don't know if TV covered this either, but they actually got to the 34 as a piece of lap traffic, and the 34 did get out of the way so that Ryan didn't have to waste any time with him. At lap 154, Tim's 2.1 seconds, and so that's to the 11 now. The 11 had passed the 48. And at lap 156, Tim says, same line as you, 4 more to go, 2.3. And I think Ryan may have asked for a lap time once or twice in there, but that's all or not lap time, but the gap.
The gap.
He wanted the gap. But that's it. Ryan, not yelling and screaming on the radio, but congratulating everybody on the weekend. They really put together the speed on Saturday, decent qualifying. And then during the race, and I've already heard this, a couple people said they listened to Jeff and Jordan on the teardown, and they didn't give Ryan a lot of credit for, they thought the 11 car was the fastest car. But the truth is Ryan had the fastest lap of the race of any of the cars out there. And Ryan, what people didn't see is that beginning of the second stage where Ryan gets stacked up all the way back to 25th, and then passes his way all the way into the top 10. Not that many cars were doing that on the day. And his car was definitely, him and his car were definitely the ones who made those moves.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, how about where we are in the standings now after this one? Then we got 2 wins in the bank.
Okay. Let's see. So, the top of the standings, we've got Chase Elliott. Then in second, we've got Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick. William Byron is in 5th. We've got Martin Truex Jr. in 6th. The 12 team with Ryan Blaney in 7th. Christopher Bell is in 8th. 9th is Brad Keselowski. And 10th, we've got Alex Bowman.
How far back, I'm going to ask you real quick, Ryan has how many points right now?
Ryan is 76 back. He's got 627.
76 back overall. Like how many to the guy in 6th, which would be
Martin?
Truex, yeah.
13.
So 13 back of another spot, and about 19 back of Byron, right? So he could get all the way to 15th here pretty quick, or all the way to 5th.
Yes.
Pretty quick. The playoff one is so confusing because we were talking about beforehand that NBC puts out one thing where they include the bonus points you get for where you are in the standings at the end of the regular season, but NASCAR doesn't. So like NASCAR has the playoff-wise like 6th, but technically if the playoffs started today it would be 5th, I guess.
They have them in 5th.
Right, and the big thing right now is the cut line now is Bubba Wallace actually gained on the cut line during the day. He is now only 27 back of Ross Chastain because Chastain's crash. So, if no new winners happen between now and the end of the season, that actual, right there, those 2 guys could be racing pretty hard for that last playoff spot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the fantasy, the NASCAR Fantasy Live League, the Team Blaney podcast, and how we fared this week.
This week, okay. So in 10th, we've got Charlie Abu. 9th is P-Shoot Bill. 8th, we've got Big Burn. We have a tie for 6th. We've got Bears Motor Club and Bulldog 0277. And then in 4th, we've got Blaney's Daisy. And then there's a 3-way tie for 1st place. We've got Frank Fan 12, hashtag LGM, and Fike 21. And let's see.
Where did Adam end up?
Adam ended up in P32, and you ended up P43.
Only a couple points apart, though. He had 211, and I had 208, so...
Yeah, you guys were very close.
Yeah. Do you want to say where you ended up?
60th.
Okay.
But I actually remembered to do it this week, so, I should get extra bonus points for that, because I forget a lot.
Let's get the overall.
The overall, okay, so, I'll start with Adam. I'll start with me. How about that? I am in P61, and I seriously missed, a couple races now, but... Adam is in P34. You are in P19. In 10th, we've got Fike 21. 9th, we've got Christian Dana. 8th, we've got Penske Fan 24. 7th, Factory of Sadness 6. 6th, Charlie A. Boo. Tied for 3rd with Racer SF. And they are tied with Alyssa C. We've got in 2nd place Frank Fan 12 and Go Larson in 1st.
I think somehow 5th didn't get printed there, but 5th was Blaney Act 10. Just so, somehow it got cut off.
Oh, yeah, it did. It totally did.
It did. So
sorry.
5th
was it?
Blaney Act 10.
Blaney Act 10.
It was 5th. There you go.
5th.
So let's talk about Indy.
Woohoo!
We're going.
Yes, we are. Listen, I don't care if none of you believe what I'm going to say, because I know she's looking at me. The dog's looking at me right now, and she believes me. It was in 17, right? Pocono? One ride one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. But I had this feeling that weekend, watching practice, and then I was like, you know what? I just feel like, should we just throw caution to the wind and drive out there? Because I just felt like we should be there. In fact, we talked about it. We talked about, should we just do it? And we didn't, and he won. And then on Friday, I started feeling like that again. And then after watching practice and qualifying, I was like, you know what? Should we go? Should I say something like, should we go? But I knew we were going to Indy, and I'm like, maybe we shouldn't. And then he ends up winning again, and I'm like, man. But those 2 times that he's been at Pocono, I really just had this feeling.
People, if we tell them how many times we've seen him win, people will be kind of jealous of us.
I know.
So we shouldn't complain too much.
No, we shouldn't.
We've been very lucky to be at, 5 of them now?
I think technically.
Yeah. Well, you saw a Truck Series win.
At Pocono.
Mm-hmm. So, So, I mean, we've seen our share of W's, and we saw 2 of them last year. So
yeah.
We gotta but to be great to go to one, and the more you keep going, the more chances you got.
I don't know. I mean, this team of the summer. Let's go to Indy and.
That's right.
Let's do it.
# team of the summer.
Yeah.
Get on the bandwagon. Jonathan said it again in an interview post-race yesterday. It was kind of funny because he wasn't really, for some reason they asked him a question about the momentum, and he brought that up, that they had a meeting beginning of the year, and it's one of the things they've talked about, and it's a hashtag that he actually, we're using it as a hashtag, but he said team of the summer now a couple times now, so it's something that he termed, that he coined, a phrase that he's using, and I think we should all just run with it and have a good summer with it.
I just want to give a special little shout out to Jonathan, because Pocono has a soft spot in my heart, and it always will, and I think it does to you too, because that's where we met. We met at the Welcome window. You guys probably all know the story. So it's just a very special place for us, and Jonathan, even though Steve and I met there, we also honeymooned there. So it's a very special place for us. So, getting on to Indy. Let's go. Let's go now.
Okay.
Okay.
I won't work this rest of the week. But we want to do the TV schedule for this week coming up. Does it say? It does say what networks, does it? It might.
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
It doesn't. You just want me to give the cup?
Well, Xfinity, we know Xfinity will be USA probably. The Cup will be USA and NBC, I would guess.
It might have been on here and then it just got cut off.
But
Okay, so Xfinity starts at 1:05 on Friday with practice, and then Cup's going to have a practice at 2:35 on Friday.
On Friday. They get an extra practice because this will be the first time on the oval.
On the oval,
in a long
yes.
time. So, extra practice Friday. Tune in, be there.
Okay. Trucks are having their practice at 3:30. And then at 4:05, they're going to be having their qualifying. And at 8:30 will be the T-Sport 200.
That's for the trucks on Friday night?
Yes, that's
and
for the
that's
trucks.
at Indy Raceway Park.
Yes.
That's not at Indianapolis, but triple duty
Yep.
this weekend. And a lot of guys who spot for everybody like Timmy
Tim.
does and like
Josh
does. They got to be
They'll all be over there.
Indy Raceway Park Friday.
Saturday, we've got 12:05 qualifying for the Xfinity Series. We've got the Cup Series coming up right after that at 1:05 with qualifying. Then we've got Xfinity, the Pennzoil 250 at 3:30. They're on Saturday. And then Sunday, the big show, the Cup Series, 2:30 p.m. The Brickyard 400 back on the oval. This is going to be our first time seeing the oval. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It's going to be
cool.
fun.
Couple things to look out for with Indy. Yes, the oval. That would be fun. Pit road there. Mm-hmm. Sketchy at best on the oval. Mm-hmm. When it was on the road course, of course they're going the other direction on the road course down pit road.
Yeah.
Pitting backwards, and during a road course race, they don't all seem to pit at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see, back at that point, you're not seeing 30-some cars go down pit road at the same time. Now, on the oval, you might see that during cautions and stuff like
sure.
that. And
Absolutely.
unless we get some flip pit strategies with worried about fuel mileage, it gets dangerous. And we remember there was an accident a couple of years ago when they were on the oval with some of Ryan's guys. So, tight pit road, small, tight pit boxes. So, kind of watch out for people's safety this weekend. Hopefully everybody has a good day out there, but a safe day out there too. The spotting is different too for it because they're going to be two spotters again. It'll be Timmy, and I believe he's going to be going into turn 1, so he'll be able to call the restart as it comes up the main stretch. And I believe Mule will be in turn 3, catching them coming down the backstretch and going through 3 and 4. So it's going to be a really, really kind of a cool thing. Once again, you get two spotters, so that's kind of a cool thing for Indy. Anybody driver-wise you're looking out for besides Ryan to maybe win Indy this week? Jimmy Johnson making a comeback?
Be cool.
Would be cool, wouldn't it?
There's obviously those that you can't count against, like Bell, Byron, Larson, but I want to see that 12. I want to see that 12 and kissing them bricks.
Something that I noticed this past weekend, and it's something that I think they talked about in the post-race interview a little bit about speed, and they just say speed. Now we say, well, we got more speed, or we've been working on our speed. But I think the newer engine packages that have come out for the Fords are faster, or they're able to tune them better, or whatever you want to say. Many times during the race yesterday, I watched Ryan pass a Hendricks car like it was no problem. Mm-hmm. And that's very unusual. Usually it's a battle. It's a lot of back and forth, and his skill and ability take over, and he makes it happen. But yesterday I saw him just overpower 48, 24, the 9 whenever he got to them. So I think that's very encouraging for a track where there's just two long straightaways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ryan did bring up his Xfinity race in was it 2015?
Yeah.
He brought that up. He brought that up in one of the interviews last night, post race, that he kind of wants to avenge that. And I don't know if anybody really remembers that Xfinity race.
I do.
You do remember kind of what happened?
Yeah.
There was, I don't know if it was a lap car in the way, and he kind of lost the momentum. But something happened where he basically lost momentum going into one of the turns, and then Kyle Busch...
When we wrap this up, we can look it up and watch it.
Yeah, and everybody else, when you get done listening to the podcast,
That's what we're going to do.
Go look up the Xfinity race from 2015 at Indianapolis. Because he was leading late in the race, and it was like with only a couple laps to go, and something killed like his momentum, basically, and he couldn't get the momentum back quick enough, and Kyle Busch got him in the next set of turns, and Kyle Busch ended up winning it. So, be a good weekend to avenge that, too. So,
I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thank you, everyone, once again for tuning in to this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. If you'd like to learn more about us, just listen to our very first episode that explores our Blaney racing fandom. You can interact with us on Facebook and Twitter at Team Blaney and on Instagram at team.blaney. And finally, would like to encourage you to support the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Established in 2018, this organization supports causes like the Alzheimer's Association and UPMC Sports Medicine through fundraisers, events, and membership in the Blaney Bunch Fan Club. To learn more, visit RyanBlaneyFamilyFoundation.org or follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For my co-host, Steve Mez, I'm Kate Mez. We'll catch you next time on the Team Blaney podcast.
Good night, Toronto. Check out the TikTok.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.